All right, in this lesson, we're going to create a basic list group component. First, we're going to install Bootstrap to give our application a modern look and feel. Now, in case you're not familiar with Bootstrap, it's a very popular CSS library that gives us a bunch of CSS classes for styling our applications. So here we open up our terminal window. You can see our web server is running. So we open a new terminal window and run npm install Bootstrap. The version that I'm using in this video is 5.2.3. Let's go ahead. Good. Now we need to import it in one of our CSS files. So here in the source folder, we have a couple of CSS files. One is app.css. This file contains all the styles for our app component. We don't need any of this stuff anymore. Delete. We also have index.css where we have global styles for our application. Again, we don't need any of these styles here because all of them were generated by Vite. So we can delete this file entirely. Now let's go to main.tsx. You can see that our index.css file was imported here. We're going to replace this line with import bootstrap /dist/css/bootstrap.css. Okay. Now to make sure that Bootstrap is imported properly, we go back to the browser. So previously, Hello World was in the middle of the page and we had a different font. Now it's up here and it has a different font. Beautiful. So now let's create a list group component. So back to our project. Here in the source folder, we add a new folder called components. This is not necessary, but by convention, we put all of our components in a folder called components. Now here we add a new file called ListGroup.tsx. Again, pay attention to how I have named this file. Here we're following the Pascal convention. So we're capitalizing the first letter of each word. Now, in this file, we declare a function called ListGroup. For now, let's just return an h1 element, ListGroup, and export this from this module. Next, we need to import this in our app component. So if you're on Mac, press Command and P. If you're on Windows, press Control and P. Here we can search for files like app.tsx. Okay. Now we don't need the message component anymore. So let's remove this line. Instead, we're going to import our list group component. Okay. And we're going to use that right here. Okay. Let's make sure everything is working up to this point. So here in the browser, we have our list group component. Beautiful. Now, finally, we need to display a list of items here. And for that, we're going to borrow some code from Bootstrap. So head over to getbootstrap.com, go to the docs, and on the left side, under component section, you should find list group. So this is a list group component in Bootstrap. To create a list like this, we need to use this markup. So we need a UL with this class and a bunch of list items with these classes. So we copy this, we go back to our list group component and return this markup. Now here we get a bunch of errors because class is a reserved keyword in JavaScript or TypeScript. So here we need to rename all these classes to class name. Now let me show you another shortcut. Let's revert this back. We select the class keyword. Now, if you're on Mac, press Command and D. If you're on Windows, press Control and D. And with this, we select the next occurrence of the selected keyword. So now we have multiple cursors. We can press Command and D one more time, and again, and again, and again. Now, all of these are selected. So we delete them and type class name. Then we press Escape a couple of times to disable multi-cursor editing. Okay. Now, finally, I save the changes. But my code is not reformatted, so let's investigate why this is happening. On the top, under the View menu, we go to the Command palette. Note the shortcut on Mac, it's Shift, Command, and P. And here we search for Format Document. Okay, here we have an error saying there are multiple formatters for TypeScript JSX files. So let's click on Configure. And here we're going to use Prettier as our default code formatter. Good. Now this file is formatted. Beautiful. Just note that Prettier automatically wrapped our JSX markup in parentheses. This is necessary to break the markup into multiple lines. So if you're not using VS Code with Prettier, be sure to add the left bracket in front of the return keyword so you can spread your JSX into multiple lines. So now back to the browser. Here's our ListGroup component. But this is pretty boring. This doesn't have any functionality, and it doesn't allow us to render or display these items dynamically. So we're going to solve these issues one by one over the next few lessons.